Here he comes now.
Welcome to Star Trek Mission Report. I'm Josh.
I'm Steve.
I'm Bill.
Hello, Bill. Welcome to the show.
And that's a great show, guys.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, wow. Thanks for coming.
We start at the ending and we go backwards. So, get it? Time travel, you know?
Read Shadow Legends.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, Bill from 515 Gaming and newly crowned Field of Geek amongst us all. Join us for this special episode. This episode, obviously, we're going to play a little bit of catch up. It's been a while. Apologies, but yeah, there's a lot out there to talk about. We'll go over some news items real quick, and then we'll dive into our main event, Star Trek for the Voyage Home. Of course, we got some new Trek coming up. Star Trek Discovery Season 4 will be dropping. I'm not sure if it says fall or might be 2022. Steve, you're in the middle of Season 3. Well, not really in the middle. You're just starting, correct?
Yeah, I just started the Season 3. No, I can't say that yet. I haven't.
No, you give it a fair shot. I know you will, but yeah, you could write better.
I'll give it. Yeah, absolutely.
You're a good writer.
I always try to find something. Yeah, right. I'll make something up. No, but I don't know. It's visually amazing. I mean, it really, truly is.
Right.
And I've only seen the first episode, but. I was telling Josh that I could watch it with the sound down and like maybe the Blade Runner soundtrack playing in the background, and
yes,
it'd be amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's its own thing, that's for sure.
I want to like it, but yeah, there's just a lot of downs with the new Trek. The writing's just not that great. Hopefully, sometime we'll maybe get into some of the Season 3 episodes, and I'd like to talk about Lower Decks eventually, which Season 2 is currently on Paramount Plus. I think we're 4 episodes in, maybe 5. Pretty good so far. Like I told everyone here, I think it's the best thing of new Trek, even though some of the humor I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want that in Star Trek world, but I get it's a cartoon, so it's it really does honor a lot of the canon of Star Trek. But yeah, it's pretty solid, I think, and yeah, it's very attractive as well. You don't have to mute this one, so that's our good start, right? Star Trek Picard Season 2 will be coming. Q's returning. There'll be some time travel involved. John Delancey is not hiding his age.
Something that might actually get me into it. Yeah.
I think, from what I hear, they're going to kind of lightly reboot the show in a way. Because the way Season 1 was, it was just kind of a mess. I think they started with an idea and then changed midway through. Tried to actually change the idea in post and just kind of made a Joss Whedon, if you will, of the season. I think it started out pretty solid, but it's a bummer. I think it could have been much better. But this new Trek's supposed, they want it to be very dark and it's very violent. It's kind of like a group of high schoolers got into a room, and they're like, oh, we can say fuck and we can talk about boobies and all this other stuff. It's just kind of like
the South Park movie when they realized they didn't have to censor everything.
That's
right.
Pretty much it. Yeah, it really is. It really is. We also have Star Trek Prodigy coming, I think, this fall. Catherine Janeway herself is returning in animation form. And that's a Nickelodeon show, which is maybe geared more towards kids. It's grounded a lot more than Lower Decks is. So I look forward to that. I think it looks pretty good. It's 3D animated. Yeah, that'll be something I can definitely watch with my kids. Lower Decks, I try to, but yeah, there's some stuff in there. I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. Can't do it. Get out of the room, kids. I gotta watch my Lower Decks. But obviously, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the big show I think me and Steve are looking forward to the most, which has Anson Mount return as Captain Pike. So ever since Season 2 of Discovery, people have been wanting a show like this, and we're finally getting it after... it's been 2-3 years, I think. So,
way too long. He was the best thing about Season 2 of Discovery.
He was. He was. He really was. He really commanded that show, and then you could definitely tell his absence. It was felt when he left, but at least we get a spinoff. That's, I think, what people wanted more than anything from this new Trek. Not really more Discovery.
Right. Yeah.
And, I know people out there some people like Discovery, and I hate to knock it. I really do. In the beginning, I really wanted to love it, and I actually did give it a good pass, but then, just over time, I was like, oh man, it's just not, I just see a lot of flaws, and didn't used to see that in my Star Trek, so I don't think it's the same situation as when TNG came on board, I think it's quite different, in my opinion, but yeah, Strange New Worlds, that should be pretty cool. Also, congrats to Anson Mount. He's expecting his first child with his wife. He's not pregnant, so unless they write that into the show. But yeah, I know, right? Bullshit.
They've done weirder things.
Yeah, like right. Junior, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. That was a movie. Looks like we're finally getting another Star Trek film after many years. Hopefully this one will actually happen. I'm doubting it a little bit, but we'll see. There's been a lot of, false announcements pretty much. But yeah, it looks like writers on this will be Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson. She also wrote Captain Marvel. J.J. Abrams will produce still. And Matt Shakeman will direct. He directed some of WandaVision and Game of Thrones.
We don't know if it's going to be the Kelvin verse or...
Unclear. I think it will be. The cast have expressed their wants to come back, but I think that will hurt the budget because, a lot of those actors are big stars now, so we'll see if they decide just to do some unknowns or whatever. I mean, there's so much they could explore. I'm okay with seeing another crew. You don't always have to be the Enterprise, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would be fine with that. Maybe they course correct the Kelvin verse and get us back to the regular verse. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. But Gene Roddenberry would have been 100 years old, I think, last week or so. Was his
the 19th,
birthday.
I think, was his birthday.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like
they have announced a biopic on his life before and after Star Trek. His son, Rod, who's an executive producer on New Trek, he's working on the project, He might be producing it, I'm sure he will. Script will be written by Adam Mazer. He's an Emmy Award winner for You Don't Know Jack, which was the 2010 HBO film about Dr. Jack Kevorkian starring Al Pacino. I never did see that film, but I'm sure it's pretty solid. Roddenberry, extraordinary man. I mean, complicated man, of course, flawed like all of us. But yeah, he served in World War II. He was a fighter pilot. He survived 2 plane crashes and became a great television producer. And yeah, dreamt up the whole world of Star Trek. So owe a lot to him, obviously. And that's cool. I look forward to seeing that film. I wonder if it will be actually on the big screen or not. But about damn time, right? He died in 91. So
yeah,
I'm surprised we haven't had it sooner. Really?
Well, and I think a lot too. Like, there's a lot of space programs that are kind of dedicated to Gene Roddenberry.
Yes.
I remember seeing an ad on Facebook about this like not too long ago. It's kind of weird, but
it was a call.
I think some of the like actual cast members are like quote members of this thing or whatever, but it's like a yearly subscription to some science space magazine club thing. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But no, he had some pretty deep visions for the future. He kind of wanted society to emulate Star Trek in a way, where we had no prejudices, no crime, no war to some extent. I mean, amongst ourselves.
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was asking for a lot back when the original show was on, and yeah, they broke a lot of new ground, and it's shocking how they got away with it, but it happened. I mean, they had, I think the first interracial kiss between Kirk and Uhura, that was controversial. The South sponsors, I think, were going to pull out. Yeah, big deal there.
There were even members of his own production staff that were like, "You'll never work in Hollywood again after this."
Right.
And here we are 100 years later.
Absolutely.
Whatever,
having Star Trek Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So
that's right, man. Yeah, it stood the test of
Suck it,
time.
conservatives.
Yeah, right. You didn't know anything. And then finally, Star Trek, the original films of the old cast are going to be released next month, September, on 4K. So that's an awesome treat there. I'm sure it'll be a little pricey, but worth it. Bill, I think you just didn't you just buy them on Blu-ray?
Not too long ago, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, wasn't that a great announcement for you?
But well, you know what? I don't have a 4K player, so
Right, I don't either.
Whatever.
Yeah, I need a PS5 or just go out and buy a player, I guess. Yeah, that's how it goes, man. It'll have all the original cuts, I believe. The Star Trek, the motion picture director's cut, will be released eventually in 4K. This is a huge deal because this was released only on DVD, as far as I know. It was never on Blu-ray.
I didn't know about that until you mentioned something about it to me
Yes.
last week. I was like, oh well, I wish I would have known that before I bought the box set. I could have.
Well, you know, it's kind of cool to compare both.
that
You know,
thing,
it's nice to have part of your collection because it's like it's like the Blade Runner. There's like what 5 different versions of that movie.
Yeah, 300 different. Yeah.
300, and you have like all of them, don't you, Steve? Or
I have them all.
you have them all.
Every week they're releasing a new version.
Yeah.
The cash grab
Blade Runner, the
version.
bathroom cut.
Yes. 2 hours uncut. Yeah. That's the director.
Oh, in Ultra HD.
Ultra HD. You're gonna feel this shit.
You can feel the reverb of the porcelain.
Sounds clean. Yes. But yeah, the director's cut is a huge deal, so they'll go back and remaster it for 4K. This was a huge undertaking. Robert Wise, who directed the motion picture, his version never really saw the light of day until the DVD release of his director's cut. They rushed the motion picture into the theaters. I've even heard the damn film was still wet from the flight just to get it into the theater. Yeah, because they foolishly, I believe, before the damn movie even started filming, already announced a release date. So they were already strapped for time. There's a history of that, the Star Trek films. So he did not like that film until he was allowed to do this director's cut. And it took fans to actually get this project off the ground and got him involved. And, you know, he passed away years later, but at least he finally got this, you know, fulfilled. And I think it's a huge improvement, in my opinion, over the original. Not to, you know, say bad things about the original, but it's got better effects and parts, you know, more of what they intended. So it's really worth checking out. Steve, did you ever see the director's cut of the motion picture?
I did, yeah. I've seen both, and the director's cut is absolutely superior to the regular. And, you know, I love director's cuts of things typically anyway, just because, you know, every time I've ever seen a director's cut of almost any movie, I'm always scratching my head as to why they didn't release it that way the first time.
Right. Damn studios, man.
I mean, and I get it a little bit with Lord of the Rings, only because those movies are 13 hours long each, and but at the same time, you know, the extended versions of those were just phenomenal, you know. But I think the director's cut of motion picture, I thought it was great.
Totally agree. Yeah, definitely check that out, Bill. I could loan you my DVD copy, but it's not going to look that great compared to what it's going to look like. So hopefully that'll be out soon. It probably will be, I'm guessing 2022 to give them enough time to work on it. So in the meantime, the ones you buy in the big pack that's coming out, those, and I don't know how much remastering those are, because, you know, sometimes they kind of just transfer it simply, you know, like they did with a lot of DVDs to Blu-ray. They still look like crap. They're just on Blu-ray, you know. So I'm hoping that these are actually remastered into Blu-ray. You know, they took the negatives and actually, you know, did justice to it. Just take more money, you know, for me, everyone. I just ordered the special remaster of Star Trek 2 soundtrack, so I'm looking forward to that. Steve, I think you got that yourself, correct? Or ordered it? Did it already come?
Yep. Not yet.
Not yet. Special delivery.
Special D. Yep.
Special D. Yep, I'm looking forward to mine. So, yeah, more on that later. I would love to play some, but it'll probably get dinged for copyright. So,
Probably.
but we'll get attention, right? So that might be worth it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. We'll just talk every 2 seconds. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, or just play like 2.5 seconds of it total.
What if we hum it ourselves? Does that matter? Does that count?
Oh, that doesn't count at all.
I think that's covered under fair use. We can,
Yeah.
we can just do like a little acapella chorus.
Oh, there you go. Pitch perfect it. There you go. I like it. That's a good idea, Bill. Very good idea.
Now wait just a damn minute.
Spock, start your computations for time warp. Bones.
So yeah, let's get to our main topic today. Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. It just turned 35. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Man, I saw that in the theater.
Jeez. That's crazy, man. What was your memories of that time? Like, were you excited about the film? Were you into so far what they, covered? Star Trek 1 through 3?
Yeah, I was super pumped for it. I mean, I've been a Star Trek fan since I was 6 years old when my dad introduced it to me in reruns in the 70s. And so that would have been 1975. First episode I remember is The Devil in the Dark, the original Star Trek series. And ever since I was hooked. And so, yeah, seeing 1, 2, and 3 in the theaters and then, having 4 come out, it was just really awesome. And then seeing the movie and going through it was really cool because it kind of made Star Trek really cool on a more mainstream stage.
Right.
It was a very accessible movie to non-Trekkies, and it was just really. I mean, it had a lot of mainstream appeal, and I believe at the time was the best in the box office for those movies. But I don't.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
I think it wasn't until 2009 Star Trek they got knocked down at number 2. But yeah, it was top. Yeah, it was just universally loved. There was really no villains in it other than mankind, I guess you could say.
Right.
But I mean, there's no weaponry really. Nothing was used. I guess the harpoon at the end, but it didn't pierce anything. But yeah, it's like the only movie you could really, if you're not a fan of Star Trek, you'll like it most likely, and hopefully it helped a lot of people get into Star Trek because it kind of teased it kind of teased their uniforms and stuff. It was my first Star Trek movie from my memory, on home video, obviously. But that was, I think, my very first introduction into Star Trek. And my dad and family knew more than I did. And, they were it was kind of like a mythology. Like they were telling me of, they have these uniforms in the Enterprise. Because you don't see any of that in 4, really. You see some of the uniforms, but they're not the classic uniforms. Yeah, it kind of really got me going with it, and I think I eventually saw the shows and then the movies, more of the films after that. But yeah, I think this was my first introduction, so pretty solid. I think I dug it a lot as a kid. Had whales in it, man. Come on, how could you not dig that? It's
the whales.
The whales.
George and Gracie,
absolutely. What were your first thoughts coming out of the film after you saw it back then?
So I just remember thinking, when can I see it next?
Right.
That was the thing to do back in the day was, see movies 3 or 4 or 5 times in a row in the theaters. And I think I've seen it several times in the theater and at least 100 times since. But, I just remember loving it to death. And, it's one of those movies that, as I met my soon-to-be wife and all those things. I, was trying to introduce her to what a nerd's life is actually like, and she loved that movie, and so it just speaks to Nimoy's vision and the universal appeal that it had. It was just a real fun movie, and I just remember seeing it in the theater, and I saw it in the Indian Hills Theater in Omaha, Nebraska, and that was a theater that was it was an indoor theater, and it had this huge curved screen. It wasn't an IMAX, but it was just a big ass screen theater,
Nice.
very popular in Omaha, and now it's a parking lot. But
I was going to ask, where is it now? Damn.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Shit.
But it was, I always tried to see all the cool movies there because,
Yeah.
Seeing a space movie on that big screen was just really cool, But
Sure.
yeah, man, I mean, it was universally loved. I mean, I didn't know anyone that had anything bad to say about that movie.
Right. Yeah, it's a very unique film. And yeah, Bill, what was your initial thoughts of the movie?
Well, I think you and I had this discussion last week, but you and I had a very similar introduction into Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first Star Trek movie I ever saw, anyway, and it's remained one of my favorite Star Trek movies of all time. Especially the original 6, I'd say it's my number one
Yeah,
movie.
it's up there.
This definitely got me involved into the lore. I started going back and watching the original series episodes, and around that time, Next Generation was just starting to spool up. So yeah, I mean that's really what got me into it. I'd actually hadn't seen one in theaters until Star Trek 6. That was the first one I ever saw in theaters.
Likewise. Yep, that was my first one.
But yeah, we had just that one on VHS, and we got it because my mom liked whales, or my dad got it because my mom liked whales. So I watched it, and then the next day I was like, can I watch it again? And then I probably watched it for a week straight, every single day.
Right.
But yeah, that really got me into the lore and everything. And I think the greatest part about it is the message it has. So many movies that you loved when you were a kid, you go back and watch them as an adult, and they do not stand the test of time. This is one movie that I don't think will ever not be relevant in that regard.
Right.
I think the movie's aged exceptionally well. I think fans of all generations would fall in love with the movie if they saw it.
Yeah, it's very solid. Humor, everything's just right. It just was like lightning in a bottle, you could say.
As an introduction to the series, to Star Trek as a whole, it might seem a little bit campy, but then you have to think too, the two movies that came before it had such dark,
right,
somber endings to
Holy
them.
shit, it did, yeah.
And this was Leonard Nimoy saying, okay, we need to lighten it up a little bit. It's getting a little too serious in here.
Well, that's the other thing, coming into this film, so much shit already happened, and they don't really talk much about it because, they assume everyone saw the first two. So you go in Kirk's son's dead, Spock's acting weird, I guess, to them. Why is he not in the uniform?
Then I guess what's confusing about it is you go and, you watch Star Trek 4, you go back and watch some of the original series, and then everyone's so different. Spock's acting different, of course.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what happened between then and now?
Right.
And I remember bugging my dad about it. Just what happened? What happened? What happened? And he finally got tired of telling me. He's like, you know what? We're just going to go out and find all of them. And
that's great.
That's exactly what we did. It's we got Star Trek 1, and I watched that, and I was kind of like, okay. And then around the time that we started, trying to collect the rest of them in the series is when they came out with that 6 movie set, VHS set that when you put it all together, it formed the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Right.
I have that.
So, I still have that in my storage. It's probably the only VHS tapes I still have.
Wow, but, that's so cool. Yeah, because our generation just were so spoiled, because it was just picking up again. I was born 81, and then 82, the Star Trek Wrath of Khan comes out, and then more movies, and then TNG, and then, it's just it was great times, man. It was awesome times, and I think, Steve, you were hesitant of TNG at first, but then you grew to like it, correct?
Yeah, I was just such a huge fan of the original series and the movies and all that stuff that came with them. And when it first came out, I remember the first 2 seasons, I never even really watched it or gave it a chance. And then, I had some friends who were really into it, and they always had pretty good judgment with what they watched and what I liked. And so I'm like, all right, fine, I'll give this stupid show a chance. And it was awesome, of course.
Right. Well, yeah, and I had a thought backing up to, when you saw Star Trek 4 in the theater, I wanted to see it again. Like back then, I think it took a long time videotapes were new, and so you at least had the possibility of buying it, sometime soon. But they used to take almost a year to come out, didn't they? I mean, it took a while.
No, or longer.
Yeah.
Or longer sometimes.
Right. So, yeah, you really had to go see it many times to get tired of it, basically, to, get your fix, if you will. So many people now don't even realize that, difference there. It's just crazy. But now you can go to Netflix and any streaming, Paramount Plus especially, to get all your Star Trek stuff. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, accessibility was not easy then.
No kidding, man.
Because I forget which, I don't know if it was Fox that was running the syndicated original series episodes, but I think they had them on at like really weird hours.
Yeah.
It was either really early in the morning or really late at night.
Right.
So it was kind of hit or miss. And then, of course, they never went like, season 1, season 2, whatever. They just kind of played one.
Right, and
yeah,
I mean that was the same for the TV shows, right? You miss an episode, well, you're gonna have to wait for the rerun. You're gonna be lost for a little bit. Yeah, man, it was Fox 17 for us here, I believe. First time I saw TNG or like a reference to it was I was watching Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton, and he was doing a tour of the ship, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's on this show too. Like Star Trek. Nice. I know Star Trek, I think. It's like, this looks different. So it was very early, of me getting into it. But once I got into it, man, it was crazy. Real quick memory, Star Trek 6, my stepdad was taking me, and my stepdad worked for a video distributor, so they got all kinds of merch from the Trek films. Like, for instance, Voyage Home, we had a blow-up Enterprise. I wish I still had that thing. Spock ears, I think, from Star Trek 5, and the hat. So I kind of tried to cosplay, I guess you could say, and I thought it'd be really cool. I thought he'd really get a kick out of it. So I was getting ready, and so I taped my Vulcan ears to my Star Trek hat, put it on. I'm like, I'm ready to go. And he's like, you're taking that off right now. So I was kind of like, disheveled a little bit. And it's like, all right, fine, you're no fun.
Well, it's cool now. Then it's just ticket to an ass beating.
Absolutely,
exactly.
yeah. And he's like, I don't want to defend this kid. Like, he's choosing to dress this way. So the hell's wrong with him?
Beat up the nerd.
Yeah, right. Like, bing, 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 bing,
Dad,
right here.
Me.
Right here.
Yep.
Yes. Of course, what brought us to talking about Star Trek 4, Bill and I recently got to go see the screening at Jordan Creek Cinema here. Cinemark, I believe that's the franchise, the theater franchise. It was a Fathom event screening. They have put on a lot of old films. They've done a lot of Star Trek episodes, and they've done the DS9 documentary, What We Leave Behind. I saw that many years ago. That was my first Fathom event. And they also did the 40th anniversary of Star Trek, the motion picture. I saw that as well. This was supposed to be a 4K remaster of Star Trek 4. I'm not sure if it was. It still kind of didn't look like the best quality, in my opinion, for a 4K. But, I mean, it didn't look terrible by any means.
I did notice a little more sharpness to it. I mean,
yeah, it probably was. Yeah, it was a little grainy, but it could have just been the way it was on screen too. Who knows? I mean, I think the theater itself has to have the right, equipment to really get it out. So, like I said, it didn't look terrible. It was really cool. These presentations usually have something special at the beginning, like, just like an introduction from, the writer, director that's involved with the what you're about to watch. In this case, it was Nicholas Meyer and Harve Bennett. They basically played a 3-picture saga featurette. So I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but they probably do for most part if you're a Star Trek fan. But basically 2, 3, and 4 are a trilogy of films. It's one story, one complete story out of the whole set of films. This was the complete, and actually released that in a Blu-ray set I bought. So pretty damn cool to have that. Did you realize that at the time, Steve, that this was kind of like a trilogy of films, or did they market it that way to you?
They didn't really market it that way. It
Yeah.
was just an ongoing saga, so to speak, right? I mean, one gets done, and they kind of reboot kind of what they were trying to accomplish with Wrath of Khan, and then I mean, everything just spiraled from there.
Of course.
The actions of the Enterprise, what happened to it, and boom, now they're in a bird of prey and number 4, and I mean, it was a pretty cool storytelling technique that they just continued that. But at the time, they weren't marketing it as a trilogy or anything. It was just, hey, here's the next one, and it continues where it left off. Right.
And did you have a pretty good indication that we would get a 5 at the time?
After the 4th one, I would assume, I'm like, if they don't do a 5, they're morons. And then they did a 5, and I'm like, oh, God, I hope there's
Why did you do a 5?
Right.
Yeah.
We should talk about 5 sometime because, it does get a bad rap for many reasons, valid reasons, but they decided to go with a whole new effects company, which was really dumb. They wanted to save money, obviously. Shatner had a much bigger vision, and they ran out of money, so they couldn't really do it. So it was just kind of a lackluster film. It had some good moments, I think, and Sybok was an interesting character. Definitely was not a 4, if you you could say that. I'm sure a lot of people who saw 4 were like, "What the hell is this?" But it was very different.
I think when they were doing press for the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek, Simon Pegg was like, "Man, I hope this movie doesn't tank because all the odd-numbered ones suck." And it really, that's kind of a well-known stigma among Trekkies is that the even-numbered films are the best ones.
Right.
But, for me, seeing it in the theater like that, though, was like seeing it again for the first time.
Cool.
So that was really cool, and I don't think there was a single person sitting in the theater with us that was bored.
No,
everyone was laughing at the jokes, even though they'd probably heard the same lines 2,000 times and have the movie memorized.
It's just so great because I didn't get the chance to see it on the big screen. A lot of these cool throwback films, if you will, Flicks Brewhouse here in Des Moines. They put on a lot of those shows, and I love Fathom events. I think they do a great job bringing these films to us. They bring so many classics back to the big screen, and it's a special night. And I'm sorry you couldn't come, Steve. Steve was working really hard.
It was a drag. I so wanted to do that, but I mean, it is what it is.
I should give you my bootleg copy of Star Trek 4. I'll just get off my shelf here.
I did a little too much LDS in the 60s.
Oh my God, that was hilarious, wasn't it? Oh geez. And of course, as a kid, you're like, I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I guess.
What's LDS, right?
Yeah. What's that, Dad? Shut up. What are your takeaways from this film? The parts you really liked the most that stuck with you, I guess.
I think a lot of what I took away from it is that it's a fish out of water story without feeling like a fish out of water story. If that makes any sense?
Yeah, does to me.
It's cool to see them interacting and basically this was supposed to take place in present day. Right. Like at the time that it released, I don't know exactly what the release date was, but
it was November 11th, 1986. So it pretty much took place the same year.
That was pretty cool. I mean, and it's also you see kind of the sign of the times with it too. I mean, they treat Chekhov like he's
nuts,
like we would treat Osama bin Laden probably.
Right.
Because they were just coming off of the Cold War and everything like that. And so, I mean, it was cool to see what people from the future would interact with, and I think it kind of gave that message of maybe we shouldn't be hunting these creatures that are part of our planet into oblivion because you never know.
Right.
Some alien probe that'll never get explained in the history of Star Trek will come and destroy your planet. But,
well, that was the beauty of it. I think is it never was explained.
I think it was too.
Yeah.
I think the best part of it was that they wanted Leonard Nimoy to put subtitles for the conversation between the probe and the whales.
Yes.
And he declined that, saying it'll have more effect if we don't know what's going on.
Right.
And I think it did. I mean, I think if you had subtitles on there and been like, huh, can you believe these fuckers hunted us out of existence? I know, right? Well, like, who needs that? But,
Hey, who designed this, Bob? It looks like a piece of shit in space. In order, I think, to forego the subtitles from the probe, they also had to forego the subtitles from the fisherman later on in the film, which was fine, because you get what they were out there for, so makes sense.
Well, the only thing they said was, what the hell is that? You don't really need a translation for that.
No. I mean, what an image.
Their panic faces. Maybe it was because it was the first introduction I had to Star Trek, but that movie made it so, like, the Klingon Bird of Prey was my all-time favorite from Star Trek, I think.
Right, we
I mean,
didn't
the
know
fact
the
that it
history.
can turn invisible, like, what more would you want? You know what I mean? But,
Right.
I think a lot of it too. There was so much of the culture and so much of the crew feeling like a family.
Yes.
It was just, they went from this big starship that everybody knew across the galaxy with hundreds of people on it to a little dinky thing that they had to recharge with 1980s radiation.
Right. And that was slick how they, it seemed legit, right? Like, obviously, we're not scientists, so we're like, yeah, it sounds good, sounds right. But the writing was pretty solid.
Plausible enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. From the aircraft carrier actually called USS Enterprise, so that was a little connection there. I didn't understand that as a kid. Like, wait a minute, because Chekhov says, it's the Enterprise. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? The Enterprise is there? Like, what?
See, my dad was the kind of person that he would answer every question you never asked. So he'd be like, oh, you know what the significance of that is? There's been a space shuttle and there's been a blah 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 named the USS Enterprise. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Tell me all this stuff about it. It's like, cool, Dad. Nobody asked me. That's awesome. But yeah, it's little things like that. Like I think there was even things they cut out of the movie that would have been like kind of led to a bigger connection. Like I think the little boy running out of the Yellow Pages office or whatever, like the lady was supposed to yell after him like, Hikaru, come back here, and that was supposed to be his like Sulu's like great whatever
grandfather.
Father or something.
That's correct. They tried to film it, but the kid wasn't a professional actor, and his mom, I guess, made him super nervous on set, so they just had to scrap it. I don't know if that's the same actor they used for the kid, but he didn't really do much, so it easily could be.
Yeah,
it is kind of a weird scene, but at first it does seem like this is kind of odd. Why were you pausing so long? But they look at the Yellow Pages ad on the side of the building because they're trying to find the glass manufacturer. So it's like, that's
can't
clever.
Find it, look it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. What does it mean, exact change? I love that when Spock and Kirk get on the bus. That's hilarious. A double dumbass on you. Yeah. The swearing is it's so cool in this film how they're just like, what's with this language, and I was telling Steve, and I think I told you too, Bill, like that's the problem with modern Trek, is very contemporary with their language, and so it kind of just makes no sense when you have them in this film. Like, why do they talk like this, even though the new shows take place before the the original series, and they're saying F words and all kinds of stuff. They even play like contemporary music. It's not, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I like how they tackled it here, acting like we got better in our ways. We talked, we communicated better, much better, but it was cool for them to like, especially Spock, because he's just saying everything wrong,
Exactly.
Except for the end when he finally nailed it. 1 damn minute, Admiral.
Yes, that was pretty damn
that
good.
Was great.
That was good.
Yeah.
The part that I found the funniest about this, and I didn't quite catch on to it when I was a kid, but the fact that like Captain Kirk tries to take charge, and he's like, or Admiral Kirk at the time. Sorry,
yes.
For
no
continuity's sake, but he tries to like take charge, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's just the way people talk here," and like he's acting like he knows everything about the 20th century, and really he knows jack shit.
Right. Even currency.
So it's kind of funny to see that. But,
I'll give you $100 for the glasses. He's like, "Is that a lot?" Of course, in the 80s, that probably went a long way because he like split it out with each person, and
I'm sure it did. But
yeah, now it wouldn't.
I mean, really, when you look at it today, and you're like, each team got what, a third piece or something like that. You're like, that wouldn't take you very far at all. What the hell?
Just get crackers. You don't need a big meal. Yes. Yes.
They probably got a replicator on board or something. I don't know.
Right. Well, they only had the. Oh yeah, they think they did change the Klingon replicator out or
They
something.
replaced the Klingon food packs, whatever that was.
Yes. Yes.
We don't really get to. I don't know. That's a whole other tangent I can get into. We haven't really seen too much of like what the Klingons' ship is like. You know what I mean? Like what they use for food. I mean, we've seen it here and there.
Later on, we do in TNG and stuff. Like one dish in particular, Steve, if you will.
Gah.
Gah.
Oh yeah, God.
There's a great episode, I think, season 2, when Riker goes
When
over.
served live.
Yes, when served live. Yes.
Yeah, it's the episode Matter of Honor.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an officer exchange type program,
Yes.
and he has to be a first officer on a Klingon ship. And
Oh
Yeah,
right. Yes, I remember this now. Okay.
But no,
It's been
you're.
forever
pretty
since
cool.
I watched it.
But before that, I mean, yeah, we didn't really know because they were revamped big time for the motion picture. Very different
yeah.
from the original series. They even changed, I think, in the original series a little bit too. They were very humanoid looking, and then they got like darker skin and all that crap, but they were still pretty humanoid.
I don't think they got the forehead ridges until Star Trek 3, did they?
motion picture.
Motion picture,
Or motion picture.
but they
Yeah, I guess
redefined
they
them
were.
more in 3. Yeah.
Right.
Say for the motion picture.
But yeah, that was a big change. Yeah, Steve, did you have a problem with that change at all back then?
Not really. I mean, because I was at that age where I realized that the 60s only had so many resources from
Right. The budgets,
like
yeah.
a show budget and
Right.
you know, the whole thing. So I mean,
Yeah.
to me, I thought it was actually a pretty cool update because
Sure.
it made them more, made them more Klingon,
Right.
And
More alien, yeah.
You know, they're trying to sell them in the 60s as Klingons, and you know, they just look like your uncle who was just
Dude's
a
painted
drunk,
up.
you know, and right, yeah.
He was out on the dock too long, got a tan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
they
he was
kind of
just an
had like
asshole.
Fu Manchus and stuff like that, didn't they?
Right.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They did. And then
Exactly.
to Enterprise's credit, the show Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, they did explain that. And it probably didn't have to be explained, but hey, I admire them for trying. So, Klingon culture, you know, the bridge change between 3 and 4. I don't know if you guys remember that or caught that, but it's totally different from when it was what it was in 3.
Yeah. And I
Because
think they redesigned it in 4 to be a little more cozy.
Yeah.
So it kind of contrasted to the open space of the Enterprise.
right, and I
Right.
think a way to explain it is, it's just fan theories, of course, but you can easily come up with your own fiction of how they changed it. I mean, this movie takes place 3 months after, and perhaps, Vulcans had some repurposed office furniture, and they're like, yeah, we'll set it up for you this way. And I did notice this time around the people working on the ship, the HMS Bounty, because McCoy coined that new name for the ship. They had like elf hats on. I don't know if you caught that, but I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa, I've never noticed that before. Like, this is weird. Like
See, I don't
like
think,
Smurf hats. They had like Smurf hats. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think when I was a kid, I probably didn't pay much attention to
I
little
didn't. I
details
never
like
did
that.
until I saw it on the big screen. I was just because I've seen it so many times, so I was able to like really look
I think
into it more. Yeah.
I think it's easier to catch little stuff like that when you're watching it in the theater.
Yeah, and it's not terrible. It's just kind of like, well, that's
not.
weird. Like Santa helper-ish, vibe, if you will. But
Well, Vulcans do have pointed ears, so
that's true. That's true, and you can
might
easily
as well
be
go the full gamut with them.
right.
Give them the little curl,
They're
give them the little
relative.
curl toes shoes with
Yeah.
bells on them.
Keebler cookies.
Yes. Oh, they should have marketed for this movie. That would have been perfect. But yeah, we got to see more Vulcan. There's very beautiful scenery they did there, and this was one thing they discussed in the 3-picture saga featurette. Lieutenant Savick, she was, of course, originally played by Kirstie Alley in Star Trek II. Then Robin Curtis took over the part for 3 and 4. But yeah, she just is written out of this film very quickly, and it's kind of like a mystery as to why. And I guess one of the original drafts was she was pregnant with Spock's baby, because they ponfarred in 3 when he was going through his adolescent stage. I really wish they would have explored that. I think that would have been kind of a cool idea, and maybe it still could be, canon in fandom world, I guess you could say. But yeah, did you ever find that odd, Steve, when you first saw it? Like, why the hell are they getting rid of Saavik so quickly?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I thought she was a cool character, and you know, she was pretty accepted too by the audiences of Star Trek back then, which, you know, was pretty loyal to the original cast and all that. And so to have someone new come in like Saavik, I think they did a good job with her. And so yeah, to lose her was kind of, okay, I don't know what the hell's happening here, but.
If I remember correctly, in 6, it was supposed to be Saavik coming back instead of Valeris.
Correct.
Right.
You were right.
It was.
And she was going to be like involved in the plot or something somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, Saavik was going to take Valeris's path into, like, you know, betraying the Federation, or not for the Federation, but the Klingons. Gene
I'm glad
Roddenberry.
they changed it.
Yeah, it was thanks to Gene Roddenberry, actually, because he thought the audience grew too attached to her and would really react negatively to this change. You know, it would be very ballsy. I don't know. I don't think I would have liked it at all. She didn't seem that type to me.
She was very, like, gentle and
right.
You know, like
almost
procedural.
motherly.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, even in 2, like, Spock had to be like, no, we don't do that around here, kind of thing.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, no, you're taking it a little too far now.
Right.
Logic is one thing, but don't be a dick.
Well, there's so many things they didn't explore. Like, Christiali portrayed her with having more emotion. I think she was like, I think she had some Romulan, or she was Romulan or something. But, you know, she cried at the end of 2. Then when Robin Curtis took over, she really played it like no emotions, really. So there was a different, take on the character, if you will. What do you guys prefer, Christiali or Robin Curtis in the part?
Robin Curtis.
Yeah.
It was a little, you know, what was hardest for me, I think, with when I started watching more and more of Star Trek as I was growing up, was that I'd see somebody and be like, oh, that's so-and-so from this show. Yeah. And, of course, my, you know, dad was a big fan of Cheers.
Yes.
So seeing Kirstie Alley in Star Trek 2, I was just kind of like, yeah, it doesn't really do it for me. But also, like, going forward, like, the girl in Star Trek 4, Jillian, whatever, the, you know, marine biologist.
Yes.
Yeah. She ends up being the mom in Seventh Heaven, so that was kind of like...
Isn't that weird? Yeah. And the dude, what's his name? He was on Seventh Heaven. He played the minister, Steve, I think, He was in the motion picture. So they're both from Star Trek films.
Right. Yeah,
yes.
he was Decker.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Decker.
can't remember. Is it Steve something? Is the actor's name?
Something. I don't know.
Yeah, shit. I hate that. Yeah, my damn brain.
Excommunicado for touching kids.
Yeah. Bummer, right? Jesus. Yeah. Like, shit. Guess he won't be back at conventions. Yeah. But yeah,
he
Doc.
did?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He admitted to it,
It was a few years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't much more.
Yeah, no shit. Like, oh, God. Yeah, well, we're not going to bring back Seventh Heaven, I guess. Shit.
Darn.
Damn it.
I've got one thing I have to bring up, and I want you guys to give me your opinion on this.
Sure.
Do you think that the past would have been altered by Chekhov leaving his communicator and phaser and his 23rd century clothing behind?
That kind of bugged me, man. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, but the radiation destroyed it, maybe, so... But his ID's still there.
That's what I was kind of thinking, too.
Yeah.
The naval officer that was interrogating him thought he was, you know, mentally challenged anyway.
Oh, I know,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to shoot you with my ray gun, and then it doesn't work. And he's probably like, oh, these are probably just really expensive-looking toys he got from Russia and threw them away.
I actually thought they were going to take out the R word. I wasn't sure if they would, but I think everyone knows what that is.
Of course he's a Rusky, but he's a retard or something. I mean, it's like...
Well, there you go.
Pretty edgy, even still. Yeah.
But I was just like wondering.
The line.
That's how people talked in the 80s.
I know, right. Man. But, you know, you're judged for everything now, so I can't say it.
I've got something like totally on a different tangent here.
Sure.
One thing I found the most interesting of it, I had no idea about, was there's 2 stories involving the punk kid on the bus.
Yes.
So the idea that Leonard Nimoy had for pinching his neck and putting him to sleep basically was he was riding on a train or a bus or something like that, and somebody was playing music really loud, and he's like, God, I wish I could nerve pinch in real life, because he would just take him out.
Yes.
But the guy playing the punk guy, I guess he thought that the music they picked for him was too soft or something, so he wrote his own song, and that was the one used in the film.
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Yep, he did, man. He did.
And also, fun little Easter egg is, if you watch Spider-Man Homecoming, when the hot dog vendor goes, do a flip, he's standing next to the hot dog vendor.
With the boombox.
With the boombox, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's Kirk
Nice.
Thatcher. He was an associate producer, and there's a great featurette on. That's the one thing about the films when they came out on DVD, and I think the 4K ones will have these featurettes as well. But yeah, he talked all about that, like how he just got some equipment together and he recorded that song in a hallway, and that was cool.
Hilarious.
Oh, it's good. It's like legit, man. It really sounds like this is real. Yes. And I can't remember.
It's like very Misfits sounding.
Yeah.
Very.
And there was something about the radio too. Like, I don't know if it was always planned for his head to turn it off. I don't know if that was just kind of a thing that they came up with on the spot. But, you know, after he pinches him, he just slams into his boombox and it turns off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what was cool about going. I don't know if Fathom does this for all their events, but the little featurette thing they had at the beginning.
Yes.
Like, when I was growing up, you know, watching like VHSs and stuff like that, they never had special features on.
Right.
Unless you got like some special thing, or like you happened to watch some documentary on cable or something.
Yes.
Right.
Like, you know, IMDb and special features on DVDs weren't going to be a thing for another 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those little behind the scenes stuff. We didn't know that until now, obviously. I thought that's what was kind of cool about it, at least. I learned quite a bit about the film that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal film. And to go back to our friend Deckard,
Yes.
His name is Stephen Collins.
Yes.
And yes, he did admit to it. Guess where he was born?
Iowa?
Iowa?
Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh my God! What? Des Moines, Iowa? Holy shit!
You know what? It's so funny because,
Hey, you can't blame it, man. Come on. Should have been from Omaha, damn it.
I'm just reporting.
Scratch off that monument.
I remember seeing this. There's this one movie I saw one time, totally unrelated, but like the main character was like a CEO or something like that, and he was secretly like this really creepy dominatrix. And somebody asked him where he was born, and he said Des Moines, Iowa. I was like, it's always fucking Iowa, man.
Why? Right. It always is.
Like, I don't know why.
At least Kirk is from Iowa.
Right, which was established in this film.
Exactly.
I think for the first time he's from Iowa. Yeah, so that was a huge win there. Captain Kirk, man. Yeah.
One of the few we get. We get Kirk and we get Field of Dreams. Everything else we get, sex offender boy and dominatrix man.
Right.
Hey, we have Korn and Slipknot.
We do. Yes.
And the Iowa State Fair was referenced in Deadpool, so I count that as a win.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, yeah, we probably wouldn't have the cool monument in Riverside, Iowa if it wasn't for this film. You know, for those who don't know, there's a headstone up there that has his birth date as March 22nd, 2228. Pretty cool. I don't know if you ever been that town. You guys, it's pretty fun.
Driven past it. Don't they have like a sign at the city limits or something that says future birthplace to
They do. And they have
James T. Kirk or something.
They have banners up on their light posts, all the classic characters. They have a museum there. They have a statue. They even do an annual festival. Actually, Robin Curtis was at the last one.
Oh, neat.
It's only like 2-hour drive, I think. It's not too bad. Yeah, very cool. It's, of course, not officially canon, if you will. But, hey, it's been great for Riverside, Iowa. And, another win for us, I'd say. That was pretty cool. He said it twice in the film.
Yep.
It's pretty special. This actually was the first Star Trek film that screened in Russia. They liked the message, and producer Harv Bennett attended the screening there, and it actually was shown in the White House here. So probably the only Star Trek film in the White House, I guess. But I mean, that's how that's how much it unified people. Out of all the films, this is the only one that has a tribute at the beginning of it, which is, of course, to the Challenger, which happened.
Yeah.
January 28th, 1986. So it was very fresh, very fresh.
Yeah, and it was really cool. You know, when they did that, it was just another one of those things about this film that just unifies people, and you know, that whole message was just really cool. And in the beginning, it popped up and it said, "The cast and crew of Star Trek wish to dedicate this film to the men and women of the Spaceship Challenger, whose courageous spirit shall live to the 23rd century and beyond." So that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Very special, yeah, because it was very fresh still when that movie came out, and it's really fitting for the film because when it takes place. Director Nicholas Meyer actually wrote the scenes that took place in the past. His writing comes in when Spock says, "Judging by the pollution content, we have arrived in the latest century." Yeah.
Well, this was the first one that was the first film that was filmed on an actual location versus on the set, correct?
Yes, San Francisco.
They actually filmed on the streets of San Francisco instead of using a set.
Exactly, yeah, because it was like probably dirt cheap to do it that way. Because I think for
I'm sure.
I think for Star Trek 3, they wanted to go to like Hawaii or some tropical place, and that was not in the budget, so that was a no-no.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got away with a lot of great special effects in this film. All the whales were fake; they're all robotic, which actually fooled the animal rights activists at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
They had a big stink about that. Like,
yes.
Oh, these whales they're filming too close to their habitat.
But it's incredible.
Yeah, glad they're not real, idiot.
Yeah, right. Then the robotic activists came in, and that just broke all loose. And remarkable. Skynet. Yeah, when you talked about Chekhov's stuff being left behind, I thought of Skynet, actually. I was like, that's how that shit starts, man. That's how it starts.
You seen Terminator?
Yes. Hey, that should be a movie. There
kind of random thought, but then I started thinking about the Hulk speech in Endgame. I'm like, oh wait, so if Back to the Future was a bunch of bullshit, maybe that's a bunch of bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
But no, this movie actually started kind of a trend there for a little while. There was an episode of Next Generation, a 2-part episode of Next Generation, and then a 2-part episode of DS9, where they went back in time to San Francisco. I don't think it was during the 80s specifically, but
yeah, it was.
It kind of like seemed to be like, oh, if you're going to time travel in Star Trek, it has to be San Francisco. So.
Well, they shot in LA and stuff, so it was probably close enough by versus
pretty close,
going somewhere.
Close by.
Yeah, they use that probably quite a bit, but very freaking cool. I mean, it's really on location. Definitely was a big treat, and that's probably some of the magic of this film. But there is a funny story about the fake whales. There's a shot of the fake whales swimming past the Golden Gate Bridge, and I guess their cable caught a nuclear sub, and they were pulled out to sea.
Yes, I heard about that. Oh my god.
Jesus. Where are whales going? Yeah.
Right.
And the helicopter Sulu flew was a model they put together on the spot, I believe. They just got a model kit and made it work. Probably didn't have a budget to actually have a Huey come in to a park, like they did. Although the shot in the park might be real, but the one, I think it's the shot where it goes across the bay. That's a miniature model of and they got away with it, man. I mean, they really pulled it off. Like, I never thought the whales were fake. I never did, and it's just remarkable.
Oh, not at all.
And they actually uncovered a old water tank at the Paramount lot itself, which was a parking lot, and they were able to film the underwater sequences in there. And Shatner himself did that courageous swim to save the whales at the end. And knowing what I know now, I'm like, damn, he had some great wig glue, because it didn't come off, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I kept waiting for it.
Soluble.
I'm like, damn, man, that's really on there. Shit. I mean, that was known back then, wasn't it, Steve? That was not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Probably ever since the
David
motion
Letterman
picture.
used to make fun of his hairpiece a lot.
But yeah, man, that's incredible how it was just flowing underwater. I was just like, oh my god, where is it? Where's the scalp? I don't see it. Yeah.
Now that you say that, I do think his hair was a little extra buoyant. So maybe
Yeah.
that was the reason.
Right.
It was a flotation device, right?
Yeah.
One thing I loved about the movie was, it is actually credited for the resurgence of the humpback whale.
Yeah.
You know, because back in the day, I mean, it was 90% of the population was gone, I believe, by that time.
Mhm.
And you know, now it's rebounded significantly. You know, I mean, it's still a risk because, you know,
Sure.
people will whale, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it was just a really cool thing that, you know, it kind of brought that humanitarian effort to the forefront, you know, to just make a cool film even cooler. So I just thought that was a really cool deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just a magical film. I mean, it's such a great film that you can watch it with your kids, or you know, everyone's going to get something out of it basically. And I think that's what the big appeal is. You know, it's just got a simple message to it, and not really any huge violence. One thing that's really unique, I didn't know about this till years later. Eddie Murphy was almost in this film, which would have changed it drastically. Yeah. I'm happy he wasn't, because I think that would have been a big distraction. And yeah, I probably would have been way over the top with the humor. But he was originally going to be Dr. Taylor, I guess, which was written totally different. He was like a UFO nut college professor. He decided to do the Golden Child instead, which he regretted afterwards, of course. But I think that was a win for us, because we got, you know, Catherine Hicks, who of course played the Doctor, and she's the only female, I think, who actually burned Kirk. I think she burned him at the end, where he's like, "Hey, I don't even have your telephone number," and doesn't she say like, "I'll find you"? Like, oh my God, I wanted to tell Bill right then and there, like, burn.
No shit.
Nice.
I didn't see it though between them, honestly. I mean, there was flirtation, but I was okay with them not going there. You know, Kirk didn't have to bang every girl. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded. Well, you know, in retrospect, kind of reminds me of the original series.
Yeah.
Episodes where he'd like hook up with an alien chick and then never speak to her again.
Right.
You know, which, I mean, he didn't really, you know, hit it and quit it with Jillian, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to see, like, at some point, you know, just a mention of her, like, hey, we just spotted a pod of whales outside of Alaska. Looks like they're thriving again, or something. You know, just a little throwaway thing. But then again, I think the thing that works so well with Star Trek that pisses me off about Star Wars is that not everything needs to be connected or explained.
Right.
Right.
So, like, some of that's just there for your interpretation.
Of course, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's cool knowing that she went to the future, and who knows what the hell she did after that, but, you know, she probably did something cool.
Well, and, you know, with her being on a science vessel, it's probably like, okay, well, we have this, you know, foreign species in our waters now that's been extinct for however many years. We need somebody that knows what the hell to do with them.
I found that off-putting, like, why is she leaving Earth now? But I don't know how much time passed between them getting back and the trial. You know, it could have been enough for them to, like, we got it. But yeah, I wish we would have known more of her character.
That's the one thing I kind of questioned, was like, they just got back, she's already like indoctrinated into Starfleet. Yeah,
she's got a uniform on and everything, and I would like to think that they did create like some kind of like a monument, if you will. People can go see George and Gracie, and she like runs that or something. I don't know. I don't picture her ever hooking up with Kirk again. I don't know what ever happened to her character. It's just like Savick too. It's like really wasted characters.
There really wasn't anything missed by her being absent.
No,
from the future films. I mean, it's one of those things like, hey, I remember you.
Unless they had the baby.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, part of it.
It would have been just the whole, you know, whatever happened to, you know, I mean, unlike Savick, you know, she was only around for one film, and
I think with her character too, I think there was a few novels and stuff like that went into her. I know those aren't canon, but, you know.
Yeah.
Like, there was, when they were doing more novels and stuff like that than they are now, it's, they're like, oh, let's touch on this aspect that nobody else has covered yet.
There's a lot of cool shit in those novels and comics. There's a lot of cool stories that I wish they would explore more. I told Steve, I wish they would treat Star Trek kind of like Star Wars, try to go back within canon and tell new stories, you know, with new crews, new characters, instead of all this kind of reboot shit. You know, to me, it's just kind of wasteful. You know, there's so much stuff out there to explore, and it's just someday I think we'll get someone who really understands, like a Kevin Feige, if you will, because he actually is a Star Trek fan, which I love for him to take over and run the ship.
Could you imagine if like Disney got Star Trek as a property as well?
I don't know.
At that point, what wouldn't they?
At times I would like them to, but no, I don't. Just because I don't like where it's heading right now.
Well, look at. Yeah, I didn't think anybody could possibly screw up Star Wars worse than George Lucas, but here we are.
Right.
Except for you, Favreau. Don't worry about it.
With the exception of Favreau.
There you go.
Along with Favreau.
Yep, exactly.
I loved when they rescued Chekhov. That's the most intense scene, when he falls and he's just laying there like a dead corpse. It's just freaky.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite scene in the movie too, just simply because of Dr. McCoy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the banter he has with the 1980s doctor.
Yeah, he hates modern medicine. Then savages. Yeah. And he gives that lady the pills. Lady, yes.
Gives her a pill and she regrows her kidney.
I love that.
Oh my goodness.
Totally cured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take 2 of these, and if you need anything, let me know, or something like that. Yeah. Doctor, I grew a new kidney.
Find me in the park.
Yeah.
What if she's still alive in canon?
That would be a cruel trick to play on some old lady. Be like, if this doesn't work for you, find me in the park. I'm in the invisible spaceship. They would commit her.
That's Publishers Clearinghouse, Bill.
Oh man.
Yeah, classic film, guys, and it was great to talk to you about it, and it was great seeing it in the theater. Bill, thanks for coming, and Steve, you'll have to come next time, man.
Absolutely, as long as I'm not having to work.
Right, of course. Yeah. Well, we'll contact Fathom and give them your schedule, and hopefully they can get around it.
They can work around it.
Like, you don't understand. I have to see this. You don't understand. Yes. Well, great, guys. This was fun. It's a fun chat, and we will be back. Hopefully get Steve's thoughts on Star Trek Discovery Season 3. And, of course, Bill, you're welcome to come back and talk to us about anything Lower Decks. We will be covering classic episodes eventually, so I look forward to doing that. And hopefully down the road, commentaries, we can get back in person. That'd be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Anything else, guys, before we leave?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, just a great film. If you've never seen it, stop what you're doing and go find it. I give it 5 out of 5 dead whales.
Hell yeah. There'll be whales here. I love when that guy interrogating Chekhov, he's like, what's your name? Or what do you say? He goes,
name.
He goes, what's my name? No, my name. I don't know your name.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. So, yeah, with that said, we'll be back 3 to beam up. I'm Josh.
I'm Steve.
I'm Bill.
Take care.